Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed bin Qasim and Eid Mubarak to all of you. Thousands of Kashmiri Muslim political prisoners would experience and witness their Eid today miles away from their loved ones and family members, and this is not going to be their first Eid away from their homes. Among these countless Kashmiri Muslim political prisoners are my parents. My father, Dr. Muhammad Qasim, also known as Ashiq Hussain, has been behind bars for the last 30 years for advocating Kashmir's liberation from India. It was in the year 1993, when he was 25, when he was jailed for the first time. And ever since that day, he has been in prison, and today he is 55. His hair and beard have turned grey in prison. A lifetime among countless other lifetimes consumed by the occupation. But the reason I'm making this video has to do with his recent solitary confinement in Udhampur jail. For the past few years, he has been kept in complete isolation in Udhampur jail. He is not allowed to see anyone, and no one is allowed to see him, as if after all these years, there's still some confession that has to be drawn out of him. So first, they separated him from his people, from his homeland, from his loved ones, from his family members. And then even within the prison, he is kept in isolation so that an example is made out of him, so that he is pushed into despair, so that he is broken down mentally and spiritually. In the month of Ramadan, when all the other Muslim prisoners in Udhampur jail were kept together, and this was no act of generosity, because why are these Kashmiri Muslim prisoners in jail in the first place? They should be at their homes. Nevertheless, when these Muslim prisoners were kept together for the sake of Ramadan, even then, father was kept in isolation and he was not allowed to be with them. When this happened, some Kashmiri Muslim prisoners could not bear this. They spoke against it. They protested against it. And they told the prison authorities that they planned to murder father in prison, just as they murdered Ashraf Sehrai Sahab in the same Udhampur jail. And this is the height of tyranny, that the Indian state, in order to punish these three Kashmiri Muslim prisoners and make an example out of them, shifted them to Agra jail, which is further away from Kashmir and further away from their homes. And they did so in order to make an example out of them, so that next time no Kashmiri Muslim prisoner would dare raise his voice when another Kashmiri Muslim prisoner is being oppressed. After all these years of imprisonment, after these decades of imprisonment, father has developed many ailments. He has developed acute back problem. In prison cell, he can no longer stand on his own. He can no longer walk without assistance. And recently, when we spoke to a doctor, he asked us for an X-ray of father's back. And we had an X-ray from the year 2017. Because after 2017, he has never been taken for a medical checkup. He has developed severe glaucoma, which is an ailment of the eye, and he can no longer read. And for those of you who know him, know that besides God himself, books have been his only companion in prison for all these years. When it comes to mother, she is in another prison, in Tihar jail, miles away from us and miles away from her husband. She is 60. She suffers from arthritis, from asthma, from many respiratory problems, from breathing problems, and she's also denied basic medical care. In more than 3 decades of her marriage with father, she's not been with him for more than 3 years, and we have barely seen them together. Why am I making this video? I'm not making this video because it's an appeal for mercy. We expect mercy and support and help only from God. His mercy has sailed us until now, and it will accompany us further as well. There are other Kashmiri Muslim prisoners as well. The story of my mother and my father is by no means exceptional. So there is an example of Ghulam Qadir Butt. He's been in prison too for more than 26-27 years. His wife passed away while he was in prison. His mother passed away while he was in prison, and they passed away while waiting for him. His children have not seen him except in prison. And he was not allowed to attend the funeral of his own mother and wife. So the reason I'm making this video is for you to remember these people in your prayers, is to not forget them, is to keep them in your conversations, because the Indian state tries to invisibilize them. tries to render them forgotten or forsaken. It is for you to remember them in your prayers and to keep speaking about them in your conversations.